The shocking truth about disease. 90% of my patients had no idea that a deadly process was already underway in their bodies, confessed renowned oncologist Dr. Rebecca Chen during a medical conference in Boston. They continued their normal lives, eating their usual meals, sleeping soundly until one day they received a diagnosis that changed everything. By then, it was tragically too late. The most terrifying aspect of disease isn't the pain it causes, but rather how it begins in silence, hidden in the minutiae of daily life, in habits we consider harmless or normal. This stealth factor makes prevention particularly challenging, yet infinitely more important than treatment alone. Dr. Alexander Morrison, who received the prestigious Stockholm Medical Prize for his groundbreaking research in cellular biology, made a discovery that stunned the scientific community. His comprehensive studies revealed that cells don't primarily deteriorate due to viruses or natural aging processes, but rather because they're being systematically deprived of something fundamental. Everything we consume and every action we take throughout the day either nourishes our cells with life-giving oxygen or slowly suffocates them, explained Dr. Morrison during his landmark lecture at Cambridge University. After decades of meticulous research, he developed 8 straightforward yet powerful rules. By following these principles, you can potentially restore your body's natural strength and build protection against the most devastating health conditions of our time. The cellular asphyxiation theory. Dr. Alexander Morrison wasn't merely another scientist in a lab coat. He was a visionary who dedicated his entire professional life to answering one crucial question: why do human cells begin to deteriorate? His revolutionary research on cellular respiration earned him international recognition and numerous accolades. But his most significant insights came later, during his extended studies on cancer and chronic diseases. Through thousands of laboratory observations, Dr. Morrison noticed something remarkable. Patients suffering from various diseases showed a consistent pattern. Their cells had lost the ability to efficiently utilize oxygen. Instead of normal aerobic respiration, these cells had switched to fermenting sugar for energy, a much less efficient process that Dr. Morrison identified as the genesis of disease. This observation led him to make a controversial statement that many medical professionals initially dismissed: there can be no disease as long as cells maintain proper respiration. Dr. Morrison never opposed conventional medicine. Rather, he challenged our collective complacency. He argued that through our daily habits, we inadvertently restrict oxygen flow to our cells, and then express surprise when our bodies begin to fail. This ability to breathe properly at the cellular level can be preserved throughout life, but most people unknowingly surrender it long before old age actually arrives. By the time most people reach 40, their cells are already operating at severely diminished oxygen capacity. Dr. Morrison noted in his research journal, not because of age but because of accumulated lifestyle choices that have restricted cellular respiration. The 8 rules for cellular rejuvenation. Rule 1: transform your morning ritual. Every morning across the world, millions of people commit the same critical error. They wake up and immediately reach for coffee, consume dry foods, or worse, ingest nothing at all. Meanwhile, their cells are desperately awaiting something much more fundamental than nutrition: pure life-giving water. Dr. Morrison was adamant about this first principle. The day must begin with a glass of warm water on an empty stomach, preferably with a few drops of fresh lemon juice. This isn't merely for taste enhancement. It serves to alkalize the blood, awaken the digestive organs, and jumpstart the metabolism after hours of sleep-time dehydration. Our bodies are approximately 6% water, but when hydration levels drop even slightly, the body begins to acidify. Blood thickens, cells receive less oxygen, and organs function suboptimally. This process doesn't happen dramatically overnight, but this is precisely where weakness, fatigue, inflammation, and eventually disease begin their insidious development. Elizabeth Harrington, a 67-year-old former accountant from Portland, described her experience. "I'd always been a coffee-first person until my daughter convinced me to try Dr. Morrison's morning water ritual. Within just 3 weeks, my persistent ankle swelling disappeared, my digestion improved remarkably, and the foggy feeling I'd attributed to just getting older vanished. It was an epiphany. I wasn't experiencing aging. I was chronically dehydrated." Environmental toxicologist Dr. James Landon explains the science. When we sleep, the body undergoes repair processes that produce metabolic waste. Without proper morning hydration, these toxins remain concentrated in the system, creating cellular stress and reducing oxygen transport efficiency. A simple glass of warm water with lemon creates the optimal environment for flushing these accumulated toxins. Implementation strategy: place a glass of water beside your bed before sleeping. Add a small slice of lemon in the morning before drinking it, and wait at least 20 minutes before consuming anything else. This simple habit creates an internal environment where cells can thrive rather than merely survive. Rule 2: per the non-negotiable daily salad. Many regard vegetables as mere side dishes and greenery as optional garnish. believing that protein sources and starches provide sufficient nutrition. This fundamental misconception may be slowly destroying your health from the inside out. Dr. Morrison was unequivocal on this point. Fresh vegetables, especially leafy greens, aren't merely recommended. They're absolutely essential. These foods supply the body with alkalizing minerals like calcium and magnesium, along with crucial enzymes that cells require for proper oxygen utilization. When the body lacks these vital substances, the internal environment becomes increasingly acidic. This acidic milieu creates the perfect conditions for joint pain, chronic inflammation, persistent fatigue, and accelerated aging. It's during this state that you begin noticing your energy levels declining, your nails becoming brittle, your skin losing elasticity, and your hair thinning, not because of genetics or inevitable aging, but due to progressive internal acidification. A daily salad dressed with fresh lemon juice and cold-pressed olive oil isn't a dietary choice, it's your cellular restoration therapy, Dr. Morrison emphasized in his lectures. This combination helps the body maintain alkalinity, supports detoxification pathways, and provides raw materials for cellular repair. Professor Catherine Winters, nutritional biochemist at Stanford University, explains, leafy greens contain chlorophyll, which has a molecular structure remarkably similar to hemoglobin in our blood. This makes green vegetables exceptionally efficient at enhancing oxygen transport throughout the body, effectively creating an internal environment where disease struggles to develop. Michael Thompson, a 54-year-old software engineer from Seattle, shared his experience. I was skeptical about something as simple as adding a daily salad with olive oil and lemon juice, but after suffering from persistent inflammation and fatigue, I was willing to try anything. Within 3 weeks, I noticed significant improvements in my energy levels, and after 6 weeks, the chronic inflammation in my knees had decreased by approximately 70%. My doctor was astonished by the improvements in my inflammatory markers during my next blood test. Implementation strategy: consume a large salad of mixed greens, cucumber, bell peppers, and other non-starchy vegetables before lunch or dinner daily. Dress it with fresh lemon juice, a tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil, and a pinch of Himalayan salt. For optimal benefits, include bitter greens like arugula, which stimulate digestive enzyme production and support liver function. Rule 3: strategic snacking for cellular support. When hunger strikes between meals, most people reach for the familiar and convenient sweet, salty, or flour-based snacks like cookies, crackers, or candy. It's just a small indulgence, we tell ourselves. But Dr. Morrison would vehemently disagree with this assumption. He discovered through his research that these seemingly insignificant eating decisions play a major role in disrupting the body's delicate biochemical balance. Sugar and refined salt are primary culprits in blood acidification. When blood acidity rises, cells effectively suffocate as oxygen transport becomes compromised, defensive capabilities diminish, and the body begins aging from the inside out. Dr. Morrison's research identified specific alternatives that could actually enhance cellular function rather than harm it. Chief among his recommendations was raw, unsalted almonds. Almonds contain a perfect balance of calcium and magnesium that helps maintain stable glucose levels and alkaline balance, he noted in his research papers. Another powerful substitute he discovered was spirulina, a nutrient-dense blue-green algae rich in iron, protein, and marine minerals capable of strengthening immunity and improving gut health. These weren't merely healthier choices, but strategic tools for cellular restoration. Amanda Richardson, a 42-year-old elementary school teacher, reported, I had been experiencing afternoon energy crashes for years, replaced my usual chocolate and cookie snacks with a small handful of almonds and lemon water. The difference was remarkable. After just 1 month, not only did my energy levels stabilize, but friends began commenting on how my skin seemed to glow. It was the first time in my adult life I didn't feel exhausted. By Sofia Nakamura, endocrinologist at Mayo Clinic, explains, when we consume refined sugars, the body experiences rapid glucose spikes followed by insulin surges. This metabolic roller coaster forces cells to prioritize glucose management over oxygen utilization, effectively creating short periods of cellular hypoxia, oxygen deprivation at the cellular level. Over time, this trains cells to function in low oxygen environments, which is precisely the precondition for many serious health conditions. Implementation strategy: keep proportioned containers of raw almonds, pumpkin seeds, or a small amount of spirulina-enhanced water available. When cravings strike, pair these alternatives with a glass of lemon water. After 21 days of consistent practice, your taste preferences will naturally shift away from processed snacks as your body recognizes the superior energy they provide. Rule 4 of movement as medicine: the human body wasn't designed for sedentary existence, yet modern life has engineered physical activity out of our daily routines. Dr. Morrison's research showed clearly that this lack of movement has profound consequences for cellular health. A body that doesn't move actively acidifies. Dr. Morrison observed, this isn't merely a figurative statement, it's a biochemical reality. When we remain sedentary for extended periods, blood circulation becomes sluggish, lymphatic system cleansing diminishes, and acids and toxins accumulate. The result is predictable. Cells lose access to oxygen, creating the preconditions for dysfunction and disease. The encouraging news is that you don't need expensive equipment or marathon training to reverse this process. Dr. Morrison insisted that meaningful improvement requires simply taking one step forward each day. This could mean walking one bus stop farther than usual, climbing 3 flights of stairs instead of taking the elevator, or enjoying a leisurely evening stroll before bed. These seemingly minor actions stimulate metabolism, cleanse the system, and provide that much-needed energy boost that so many people desperately seek through caffeine and sugar. Harold Jenkins, a 72-year-old retired accountant, shared his experience. After years of sedentary work, my knees had become painfully stiff, and I assumed it was just part of aging. On my doctor's recommendation, I began taking daily 15-minute walks, never missing a single day regardless of weather. Remarkably, after just 2 weeks, knee pain began subsiding. After a month, I was sleeping better than I had in decades. I mentioned these improvements to my physician. He was genuinely surprised by how quickly my body had responded to such minimal intervention. Dr. Lucas Fernandez, sports medicine specialist, explains the physiological mechanisms. Even brief movement sessions create a pumping action in the lymphatic system which, unlike the circulatory system, lacks its own pump. Movement is essential for removing cellular waste and delivering fresh oxygen to tissues. Additionally, regular movement helps maintain joint cartilage through compression and decompression cycles that facilitate nutrient delivery to these relatively avascular tissues. Implementation strategy: begin with a 5-minute walk after each meal. Gradually increase duration by 1 minute each week until you reach 15-20 minutes. For enhanced benefits, incorporate gentle stretching upon waking and before bed to maximize lymphatic flow. Track your progress not through distance or calories, but through consistency. Unbroken chains of daily movement create the most significant cellular changes. Rule 5: the art of conscious breathing. We perform this essential function every minute of every day, yet rarely with proper attention or technique. According to Dr. Morrison, improper breathing may be the most underestimated factor in declining health. Without deep, proper breathing, cells begin to starve, and cellular starvation invariably leads to disease. He asserted in his clinical observations. He noted that most city dwellers, surrounded by pollution, traffic emissions, and chronic stress, breathe shallowly, utilizing only about 1/3 of their lung capacity. This restricted breathing pattern leads to cognitive decline, cardiovascular strain, and vascular dysfunction. Dr. Morrison's approach was practical and accessible. Seek clean air through nature walks, practice intentional deep breathing, and simply opening windows each morning to refresh indoor air quality. His recommended breathing technique involved inhaling deeply through the nose, holding briefly for a few seconds, and exhaling slowly, a practice he maintained daily regardless of his busy research schedule. Dmitry Volkov, a 56-year-old software developer from St. Petersburg, recounted his experience. I began practicing breathing exercises on my balcony each morning for just 5 minutes. Within a week, my previously high blood pressure readings began to normalize and my frequent headaches disappeared almost entirely. It felt as though my brain had been reactivated after years of operating in a fog. Now consider these breathing sessions as essential as brushing my teeth. Dr. Eleanor Parks, pulmonologist at Johns Hopkins, explains, the lower portions of the lungs contain a higher concentration of blood vessels for gas exchange, yet shallow breathing engages primarily the upper portions. This means most people are chronically underutilizing their most efficient oxygen-capturing lung tissue. When deep breathing exercises activate these lower lung regions, blood oxygen saturation can improve by 5 and 10%, which has cascading benefits throughout every system in the body. Implementation strategy: 3 times daily, practice 4-7-8 breathing. Inhale quietly through the nose for a count of 4, hold the breath for a count of 7, and exhale completely through the mouth for a count of 8. This pattern activates the parasympathetic nervous system, reduces cortisol levels, and maximizes oxygen uptake. Begin with 4 repetitions and gradually increase to 8 as your capacity improves. Rule 6: to friend or foe. Many assume that meat simply provides protein, but Dr. Morrison's research revealed a more nuanced reality. He cautioned that the harm doesn't come from meat itself, but rather from how we prepare it and how much we consume. Fried, smoked, and fatty meats overwhelm the digestive system, increase blood acidity, and create conditions favorable for inflammation. Dr. Morrison advocated a different approach: quality over quantity. He recommended boiled or steamed lean meat, limited to once daily in portions not exceeding 150 grams, about 5 ounces, and incorporating regular preset days when the digestive system could rest, cleanse, and rejuvenate. These guidelines weren't about deprivation, but rather about achieving balance, allowing the body to process nutrients efficiently without creating additional cellular stress. Vanessa Martinez, a 40-year-old marketing executive, shared her experience. After struggling with persistent abdominal discomfort for years, I switched to primarily steamed chicken and implemented one plant-based day weekly. Within a month, my digestive pain vanished, my cholesterol levels normalized without medication, and my mood improved significantly. The lightness I felt was remarkable, as though I'd been carrying a heavy burden without realizing. Dr. Thomas Wilson, gastroenterologist at Cleveland Clinic, explains, one meat is cooked at high temperatures, particularly when charred or smoked. It produces compounds called heterocyclic amines and polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. These compounds have been shown to increase oxidative stress at the cellular level, effectively reducing oxygen utilization efficiency. Additionally, excessive animal protein consumption requires significant digestive resources, diverting energy from cellular repair and regeneration processes. Implementation strategy: limit meat consumption to 45 ounces daily, preferably at lunch when digestive enzymes are most abundant. Choose poaching, steaming, or slow cooking methods rather than frying or grilling. Implement one meat-free day weekly, focusing instead on plant-based proteins like lentils, chickpeas, and hemp seeds. This approach provides sufficient protein while minimizing digestive burden and cellular acidification. Rule centered: the vegetable paradox: which ones heal and which harm. Vegetables symbolize health in most cultural contexts, but Dr. Morrison's research revealed an important distinction. Not all vegetables contribute equally to alkaline balance restoration. Some can actually increase acidity in the body. He specifically cautioned about starchy vegetables that rapidly convert to sugar in the bloodstream. White potatoes, despite their popularity on dinner tables worldwide, featured prominently in his warning list. These high glycemic vegetables can promote inflammation, disrupt metabolism, and impede cellular oxygen utilization. Instead, Dr. Morrison recommended alkalizing vegetables like Brussels sprouts, asparagus, zucchini, eggplant, and bell peppers. These foods don't merely provide nutrition, they actively cleanse the system, restore proper pH balance, supply essential vitamins, support intestinal health, and most importantly, help cells utilize oxygen efficiently. Gregory Petrov, a 50-year-old engineer from Voronezh, described his experience. I eliminated potatoes from my diet and began steaming various vegetables daily. After approximately 1 month, I noticed significant reductions in fatigue, improved bowel regularity, and even clearer skin. My wife commented that I looked years younger, though I'd made no other lifestyle changes. During this period, Dr. Melissa Chen, nutritional biochemist, explains starchy vegetables like potatoes have a high glycemic load that triggers rapid insulin release. This hormonal cascade activates inflammatory pathways and shifts cellular metabolism away from efficient oxygen utilization toward glycolysis, essentially training cells to thrive in oxygen-poor environments. Conversely, non-starchy vegetables contain compounds called isothiocyanates that upregulate the body's natural detoxification pathways and support mitochondrial function, where cellular respiration occurs. Implementation strategy: replace white potatoes with purple potatoes, which have a lower glycemic index and higher antioxidant content, or sweet potatoes and rich in beta-carotene and fiber. Aim to fill 2/3 of your plate with non-starchy vegetables at lunch and dinner. Steam or lightly saute these vegetables rather than boiling them to preserve water-soluble vitamins and maintain textural appeal. Rule 8: water, the foundation of life and health. Dr. Morrison's research culminated in a return to the most fundamental element of existence. If the body lacks sufficient water, it begins extracting it from your organs, he cautioned. Cells don't simply drink water, they exist through it. Water serves as the medium for nutrient delivery, toxin removal, temperature regulation, and acid-alkaline balance maintenance. His recommendation was straightforward but precise. Consume at least 2 liters of water daily, not juices, not carbonated beverages, but clean, preferably room temperature, slightly alkaline water. Begin first thing in the morning on an empty stomach and continue throughout the day. Dr. Morrison issued a particularly stark warning about sugary beverages. To neutralize the harmful effects of 1 glass of sweetened soda, you would need to drink 30 glasses of water. Why fight the consequences when you can simply eliminate the cause? Alexander Ivanov, a 45-year-old project manager, reported, I replaced all my tea and sodas with plain water. After just 2 weeks, my chronic heartburn disappeared completely, and I experienced a noticeable lightness throughout my body. Within a month, I began waking up without the fatigue that had plagued me for years. My productivity at work improved substantially, and friends began asking what treatment I was undergoing. They could see the difference in my appearance and energy. Dr. Sarah Henderson, nephrologist at Mayo Clinic, explains, even mild dehydration of 12% can impair cognitive function, reduce metabolic efficiency, and increase cellular stress markers. Most people chronically exist in this mildly dehydrated state, which forces the body to prioritize essential functions over optimal cellular respiration. Additionally, proper hydration is essential for maintaining blood volume and viscosity, which directly impacts how efficiently oxygen can be transported to tissues throughout the body. Implementation strategy: begin each day with 16 ounces of room temperature water with a slice of lemon. Then consume 8 ounces of water 30 minutes before each meal and snack. Keep a 32-ounce water bottle with hourly markings to track consumption throughout the day. For enhanced benefits, consider adding a small pinch of high-quality salt to morning water to support electrolyte balance and improve cellular hydration efficiency. The revolutionary conclusion, the most profound insight from Dr. Alexander Morrison's lifetime of research, wasn't purely scientific. It was a simple yet profoundly accurate conclusion that applies to every human being. After dedicating his career to understanding why cells deteriorate and discovering what could be done to prevent this process, Dr. Morrison's conclusion was elegantly straightforward. 1. A cell lacks oxygen, disease begins. Oxygen is present, disease cannot exist. Everything you've learned today isn't theoretical. These are practical steps any person can implement immediately. A morning glass of water, a salad instead of a sandwich, almonds instead of cookies, walking instead of sitting, deep breathing, lightly prepared lean meat, alkalizing vegetables, and consistent hydration. These simple habits can potentially revitalize your cells and maintain your strength, mental clarity, and vitality regardless of chronological age. Many people believe that health is a matter of genetic luck or circumstance. Dr. Morrison's research demonstrates that health is largely a choice, one that begins not tomorrow, but today with the next decision you make. Dr. Benjamin Walker, professor of preventive medicine at Harvard Medical School, summarizes it this way. The genius of Morrison's work lies in its accessibility. While the biochemistry is complex, the applications are remarkably simple. His 8 rules essentially create an internal environment where cells can thrive rather than merely survive. The beauty is that these changes don't require expensive equipment, rare supplements, or specialized knowledge, just consistent application of foundational principles that work with our biology rather than against it. In his final interview before retiring from active research, Dr. Morrison reflected, "We've made health unnecessarily complicated. The body has an extraordinary capacity for regeneration when given the basic elements it requires. My greatest hope is that people will recognize that the power to transform their health doesn't primarily reside in hospitals or pharmacies, but in the small choices they make every single day." These 8 simple rules represent not just Dr. Morrison's legacy, but potentially a new beginning for anyone willing to implement them. The journey towards cellular rejuvenation doesn't begin with dramatic changes, but with small, consistent steps that gradually transform your internal environment, creating a body where disease struggles to take hold and vitality becomes the natural state. The choice, as always, remains yours.